Okay, I'm gonna be honest, guys. I can't be the only one that was caught unaware by this UFC Fight Night card. Like I knew it was coming, and I recorded a preview video for it, as I normally do, covering the fight. It was Jan versus Figueroa, one that I was extremely, extremely excited about. And I was like, I'll just post it in the morning, the day of the fight. Um, yeah, that wasn't smart because the fight card started, I think, 8 a.m. UK time. So yeah, I was caught unaware. I just started getting tweets on my phone and seeing, oh, this is started, and I was like, oh my goodness. One, I've missed out on the opportunity of sharing my thoughts and opinions on the preview about these two fighters. Obviously, I normally cover UFC events, and I wanted to cover this one, but it's a lesson learned. Got to keep a closer eye on the fight times and probably get these out a little bit earlier for you guys. So Jan versus Figueroa, we're gonna get straight into the main event. This card surprised me a little bit. I did say coming into this card, I don't know each and every one of the fighters. Obviously, it is in China. Some fighters who were making their UFC debuts. There were fighters who were had only fought once in the UFC and I hadn't had the opportunity to see them. So I covered the three main fights that I knew. So it was Jan versus Figueroa, it was Zhao Nam versus Farici, and it was also Carlos Oberg versus Ozdemir. So those were the three fights that I covered and knew. I learned a couple new faces during this card, which is it's always a good thing. So going into the main event, Jan versus Figueroa. Now, on the outset and in my preview, I said it's going to be a pretty close one. Figueredo has come up into the bantamweight division. 3 wins. He's beat Chito Vera. He's beat a number of other people, Rob Font, for example, and he's established himself as being okay. I'm not, going to be bullied in this division, even though he's got a height size disadvantage. He still is competitive. He's beaten bigger men than him. It puts him in good stead. And so I came into this thinking that Figueroa has a chance, but Jan would win, and that's what happened. 50-45 across all the scorecards. I think doesn't tell the story. Obviously, Jan deserved his victory. Very, very impressive on the feet, on the ground as well, dealing with Figueroa, who was trying to take him down multiple times. And he was, very proficient. Got a number of opportunities where he had ground control himself, as it was equal. As you can see, 3 minutes apiece for each man. Jan was relentless with his strikes. Figueroa would catch Jan with powerful strikes, but Jan was relentless with the frequency of his striking, the precision of his striking, and it's only because Figueroa is quite a tough person that he was able to sustain the amount of blows he was taking. And again, when it comes to the output, as you can see from the numbers, total strikes, Jan blows Figueroa away. As I did mention, Figueroa probably had some powerful punches, but Jan did as well, plus the volume. And I think it's just a reminder that Jan is one of the best in the division. He has had a tough time, as we covered those, losses that he's had back to back against Aljamain Sterling, Sean O'Malley, Marab, and then he's bounced back with the win against Song Yudong, and now this puts him in good stead to be fighting potentially for a title for a number one contender spot. My issue now comes to Jan's one. He's shown his dominance in that fight, and I think in the next UFC video I'm going to be talking about Marab because he's jumping at every opportunity to fight anybody. He's deciding to fight anybody but Umar Nurmagomedov, and I think now where we are, can't do that. And you can't make it as blatant as you're making it. It's spoiling some aspects of his championship run. But again, Jan's put himself in position to be a contender, most definitely. Figueiredo, again, you got to give your hats off to him. This was a really, really good fight. I don't want to undersell it at all. Figueiredo came, he was game. He got beaten by the better man, a man that had is more proficient at this division, has certain physical advantages. Like even though Jan isn't the biggest man in that division by any means, he was still bigger than Figueiredo. He still had the ability to control that distance to a degree where Figueiredo had to get on the inside. You got to give your hats off to Jan. So very impressive victory, and it'll be interesting to see where he goes next. For Figueiredo, he's established himself as an entertaining fight in the bantamweight division. He will give you an entertaining fight. That's very, very good for someone who was a former champion in another division and is in the bantamweight division. Do I think he's ever going to win a bantamweight world championship? No, but he doesn't need to. He just needs to be very entertaining at this division, stay in the top 5, top 6, and be a feature. And I think that's what he's going to do. So very enjoyable fight, and it really made for a really good card. Next opportunity that we're going to cover and fight that we're going to cover is Zhao Nam versus Tabitha Rika. And listen, when I covered this, I went Zhao Nam. Zhao Nam is going to win. Tabitha Rika is an up and comer. She's done really, really well. Love her ground game, love her judo experience, love how she puts it together. She's on the climb, she's on the run. Her striking is improving. Zhao Nam is a number 2 that would be a number 1 if the number 1 wasn't so damn good. And even when she fought the number 1, she was very impressive. Yes, it was unanimous decision, but I was very impressed how she took it to the champion. Very, very impressive. And in this fight, she proved that if she wasn't here, I would be number 1. She is very, very good. Her striking is proficient. She strikes hard. She's very aggressive, and she shows her quality, her high level striking. And I feel like I love watching Zhao Nam. I'm not gonna lie. The three, I think it's the 3 fights I've watched of her consistently. She just makes me want to watch her fight. She brings a good level of energy, a good game. She is susceptible to getting hit, as any fighter is. Tabafarika did have opportunities and strikes where, you know, she was connecting, but as you can see from the accuracy and the volume was there. The accuracy was not. 17 out of 106 total strikes. Yeah, not good at all. But the effort was there. She's a young up and comer. There's certain physical disadvantages that she had. Again, similar to Figueiredo. She's a smaller woman. She has to get in the inside of Zhao Nam. Zhao Nam was controlling that distance. Anytime that Tabafarika was looking to get inside, you can come inside, but you're going to get popped a couple of times. And yeah, all I've got to say about Zhao Nam is I would love to see her become champion one day. She has a skill set and a fight style that I really like, and it was very enjoyable to watch her and get the accolades and the adulation of the Chinese fans for definite. So Zhao Nam, where does she go from here? Give her a couple more contenders if you really want to, but let's get that title fight up and running again. So she's defeated number 10. Let's get her a 5 or so, and then let's get her the number 1 contender. If you really think she needs 3 fights to get back to the championship, she may be, because she lost by unanimous decision. Wouldn't hold the, you know, in bad regard if they did that, because you lose to a champion in unanimous decision. I would say minimum 2 fights, probably 3 to a little bit more for you to get back into championship contention. Next fight we're going to be covering is Kaynan versus Salikov. And guys, this was a very good fight for as long as it lasted. Salikov is the only man, remember this, the only man to have knocked his opponent out consecutively with back-to-back spinning head kicks, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant. Once it connected, guys, it was game over. It was absolutely game over. And Salikov, again, to be able to do this in the welterweight division, a division that's stalled at the top of the division, you can make a name for yourself very, very quickly. You can be that next up-and-comer very, very quickly. And he's established himself with such a devastating finish. It wasn't a fight that I had on my radar, I'll be honest with you. But now Salikov and his fights will be on my radar. If you're finishing opponents like that, yeah, we've got to take notice. So very interested to see what happens to him and who will be fighting next. Whoever he is, guys, we will be there. If he's finishing opponents like that, yeah, we'll be watching his fights. I'll talk about Kong and Fernandez very, very quickly. This was a fight that, you know, Kong was dominating to the point where I feel like got a bit too arrogant, got a bit too cocky, got a bit too confident, and that quickly led to her demise. Fernandez, showed a lot of heart. In the beginning of the fight, I was like, okay, this is going to be a wrap very, very quickly. This is going to be an easy win for Kong. But Fernandez showed heart, and whether it was complacency or something else, she took advantage. And as soon as she got her down, as soon as she got her in position, and as soon as she got her in that rear naked choke, night. She could literally see how much it meant to her. She squeezed as hard as she possibly could, and Kong had no opportunity, flat on the floor with Fernandez on top of her, had no other opportunity but to tap out, and that's exactly what she did. Fernandez was very emotional. I think she talked about the loss of a family member, which is definitely a hard one to come to a fight like this, but the motivation showed through in winning, and being such a massive underdog for her to win puts her in good stead for the future. Again, another one, I didn't have this fight on my radar, wasn't overly looking forward to it, but there's a storyline out of here, and I'm looking forward to seeing Fernandez again, hopefully bringing that same level of energy and intensity to her fights. Next fight that we covered in detail in our preview that didn't come out was Demir versus Oldberg, and this was one where I was saying Oldberg is that next up-and-coming challenger. He is the person who is looked at as being, the light heavyweight division is not looking scarce, but Alex Pereira is running through people could Oldberg be a person who could compete in a similar way of like a Khalil Roundtree? Again, I don't know the answer to that. My opinion is no, because can he withstand that power? I don't know. But Carlos Oldberg has gone on a streak and a run now. I think this is his sixth win back to back. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but sixth win back to back, and against Ozdemir, who is a legend in the light heavyweight division. Yes, he may not have reached the heights of a championship, but he has always been game. He's fought some of the best that the light heavyweight division has to offer, and Oldberg pretty much ran away with that victory. Dominated. His output was good. We knew he would be very proficient on the feet, and that's where his domination would potentially come from, and that's exactly what he did. He set himself up for a light heavyweight kind of contender fight sooner rather than later. I mean, you look at the division, it wouldn't take much. You got Ankalaev, who should be fighting, Pereira very soon. You've got Jamal Hill and Yuri Prohaska, which was just announced. If I'm Oldberg, I'm looking for a dance partner, because once the dust settles, I'm going to be calling for the Yuri Prohaska Jamal Hill winner. Let's get it on, let's fight. That would be my opinion. I think Oldberg has really climbed himself up those light heavyweight rankings, and it's going to be interesting to see who gets next. Ozdemir, again, I think this was a fight where it was tough, because not only did Oldberg have a slight, physical advantage, he also had a bit of the same blueprint that Ozdemir would probably go about in his fights. But Oldberg was able to implement his one a lot more effectively. Next one and final one that we're coming in the main card is Ming Yang versus Diaz. And Ming Yang, what a finish. Once again, we had some spectacular finishes on this card. Ming Yang with essentially like a spinning elbow, just slapped Diaz and knocked him the hell out. And again, Ming Yang is another name that I think we're going to have to keep our eyes out for. Very, very impressive finish, and he looked very good from the limited time that we saw him. So very interested to see some of these Chinese fighters in the future. The biggest takeaway from this card, guys, is that Petr Yan is back. He will be looking to be contending for a championship, and it looks like Merab has Yan in his sights. Let me know what your takeaway from this card was, if you enjoyed it, if you were able to catch it in real time. Guys, I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts and opinions. I'll catch you soon. It's been EDA. Peace.